Welcome back, everybody, to Quality Time with Uncle Drew. I'm joined by a very special guest, Griffin Prock. So About Sports. Check it out on all channels and avenues. You can get it as a podcast on Spotify. Follow him on Instagram, on Threads. He's very, very active. But we wanted to come in and just give you a very quick episode. We just had NFL free agency, which is a great, great, great time to talk about some football, talk about some new things for some new franchises. And before I even get into that, though, I wanted to do a wellness check on you, Griffin, because you guys have had a lot going on, and I don't know if today made that better or worse. But wanted to do a wellness check with you. How are you doing?
I am doing well. He's wellness checking me just so everybody knows because I am a Seahawks fan. Usually we're not in the news. We like to hover in the middle, a move here or there, but I mean, I'm gonna be honest. I'm gonna miss Lockett with all my heart. I love that guy, and I know it's the business, but I hate the business sometimes when stuff like that happens. DK, same thing. Go get your money though. I understand it. I get it. You'll be missed here, but go have fun in Pittsburgh. And then Sam Darnold, welcome to the team. Welcome to the team, brother. I'm excited to cheer for you, but let me just know you're stepping into big shoes because Geno Smith was the previous underdog who stepped up to the plate. So Sam Darnold is now the new underdog stepping up to the plate. And I hope he can pull off a Geno Smith and continue to not write back to all the haters, like Geno Smith said one time.
So I'll definitely say, just looking at this, I know you probably, if somebody told you this 2 weeks ago, this domino effect that happened with
Mhm.
Geno, then DK, then Sam Darnold, I'm pretty sure you wouldn't believe it. But as the dominoes are falling, what's your thoughts when you guys trade Geno and then when you trade DK and now getting Sam Darnold? Like, what is your thought process on that as a Seahawks fan and just as somebody that talks about sports?
It's a great question because what's interesting is it's not even those dominoes that really get your juices flowing of thought. It's the first couple. We cut and released Tyler Lockett, like I talked about at the jump. And then we released four other players off the top of my head, Ernest Jones, for example, off the edge, and a couple other guys to clear a lot of cap space. So the writing became very clear on the wall. Now, the Seahawks don't like tanking. They don't like resetting. They like being always competitive, and that's why I like being a Seahawks fan because no matter what, we're always looking at the wild card at least. There's something to root for, and if we hit on a couple things, there's there. But then when we start hearing those rumors about DK, you get a little bit more nervous. And then Geno Smith, that came kind of out of nowhere, to be honest, because our social media team on the Seahawks, and I understand they're just doing their job, posted about like time to get back to work, and it was Geno Smith running out of the tunnel. I'm like, does that mean like all those rumors he's staying? Nope. Like you said, 1 or 2 weeks later, he gets traded to the Raiders, reunites with Pete Carroll, and then you're like, okay, we're really making decisions here on like a hard reset. And then we go out and sign Darnold today, which I'm excited about for one thing. $100 million for a quarterback seems crazy, but that's pretty cheap nowadays. That's the Baker Mayfield deal, 3 years, doesn't tie us into anything hard or long term. He's also a lot younger than Geno. He lines up with our team's timetable because we have a lot of young guys. We cut a lot of old guys, traded an almost 30-year-old wide receiver. Like that's where we're moving towards. So and John Schneider we trust is like what we like to say around here in our GM because he's been around here for a long time and he's drafted really well. And so I'm excited to see what we do, but there is a little bit of hesitancy here in Seattle. But all my group chats today, we were all saying positive things, so I'm excited.
Man, that's any that we're seeing this resurgence of the quarterbacks who were kind of, high level picks and kind of, had their time a little bit, but not a lot. Or, it's hard to be a successful quarterback in a year or two. Like it doesn't happen like that. And usually nowadays, if you don't show up in those first or second years, you become a backup and you become a journeyman for a couple of years. But you see it with Baker Mayfield, you see it now with Sam Darnold, you saw it with Geno, who, resurrected his career as well. Through free agency, in your opinion, what has been the biggest or most surprising thing that's happened?
To be honest with you, it hasn't been any blockbuster things, and I think we might coming from where I like talk about basketball as well. We just saw Luka Doncic get traded, so you now start to think that's like a base level trade that we should be seeing all the time. No, no, no. It's all these lower level deals. It's either re-signing a Darius Slayton to the Giants on a contract. It's trading a Laramie Tunsil to the Commanders, from the Texans, which that might be one of the most surprising because So, tell me if I'm wrong here, but CJ Stroud racked up the most sacks, got sacked the most last year. So let's trade our star left tackle. Yes, he has a penalty problem, but he's still your best offensive lineman. So those types of things surprise me in the trenches across the board. But I saw a lot of teams be very financially smart and not make any big swing. And I think that's a good thing for a lot of franchises across the board. So not having surprises means that teams are having successful off seasons. So yeah, you might overpay for Grady Jarrett. You know, if you're the Chicago Bears, you're like, okay, he's like almost 40, right? Like, I don't know about him, but you need a veteran. You need a veteran on that line. You know, it's a young team. I get it. Like, I can make points for every side. So when it comes to surprises, I mean, maybe that Darnold to the Seahawks came out of nowhere. Like, I'm gonna be honest, I'm following all of the Seahawks people that are around this area. I think of myself as kind of a Seahawks semi reporter at times. There was no buzz about that. No buzz about that. So I'm gonna say the Hawks to give you kind of a cheap answer there.
No, no problem, man. As I look at it, and as we know, or for those that don't know, the cap went up again this year. So when a cap goes up, more money to go around. The contracts are going to get bigger, and that's just how it goes. And you see some of these contracts, and it's always fun. I tune in. I don't follow it too much, but there's always a handful of players that get a contract, and you're like, that guy gets that much, but it happens in the NBA too. It's just there's so much money to go around that there's really nothing to do about it. Like, yeah, man, what are we gonna do? We don't sit on this. But when I saw Joshua Palmer go to the Buffalo Bills for 3 years, 36 million, you got Chris Godwin that stays in Tampa Bay, which is a discount at, I think 3 years around 66 million. So you got those types of things. You got Justin Fields that goes to, which surprised me, he goes to the Jets, for $40 million a year, and you're like, I don't even think he fits in a jet uniform. You know what I mean? But it is what it is. What it is. From moving forward right now. So what are the two teams that have a quarterback issue that they have not solved yet? Are the Giants and the Steelers. So what do they do moving forward?
There's also a third team I might add, the Browns,
Okay.
because they have a quarterback, if you want to say that, but they don't, and he's not going to play next year, And so those three teams, I don't know. I think the Giants are pretty much, and I mean, you can think about the Titans too, kind of in this fold. But when you think about teams that are kind of on the forefront, speaking of the Seahawks, Russell Wilson's in rumor mill territory with the Titans right now. But when we think about the Giants, they're gonna, do everything they can to try to take Cam Ward. I think that's what they're pointing towards here. They didn't want to make a deal with any of these guys across the board, whether it's Sam Darnold, on the top end, or even Geno Smith. Now that we learned that he was kind of up for, the ability to be traded. Justin Fields, like you said, to New York, that kind of takes off a team that we thought might take a quarterback in the first round after Rodgers. So I don't know. I think the Giants take that. And then when we look across the board, the Browns, where's Kirk Cousins going to be at? Think about him, across the board. Where's you think about the Steelers, and there's these rumblings about Aaron Rodgers. I think they get the deal done reluctantly. Rodgers is never going to be the first guy to get a deal done. I think he's just sitting at home being like, because I saw reports that he's received offers from these teams. So he's just pending maybe a negotiation tactic. I don't know. We understand it's a job search. So I would look at those names that could end up in those places. But again, the dominoes have kind of fallen to the teams that we had the most question marks for, like the Seahawks and the Jets. And so these other ones, it just feels like draft or take one of these last remaining older guys, I guess, off the board.
Yeah, it's just like, oh, and this is a question I want to ask you. Oh my God, I'm glad I remembered it. So, what is it like being at work and free agencies going on? Explain that to me or talk about that really quick, because that was one of the questions I wanted to ask you. Hard day to be a person who wants to be in sports and you're at work with work to do.
Yes, and it's interesting because I'm not a big texter. I'm not on my phone like texting all day. Some people pick up their phones at work and they do that. I pick up my phone to see like what's the latest, update on ESPN. And what's so great about threads and all of this stuff is I'm just sending a text essentially to the world, So I'm just using quick time on my phone to do that. But I am no Adam Scheffner. I am no Ian Rappaport. I'm not going to give you the minute by minute. I'm more of a summary kind of guy on these days where I'll let 3 or 4 trades happen or moves happen, and then I'll like say a thing or two. But I like to like know what's going on. So I'm reading more than I usually am, you know. So Mondays aren't the most productive on free agency Monday. But I got all my work done. So shout out to my boss if they're listening to this. But you just gotta prioritize the things across the board, because also there are hours outside of the work day that you can talk about this stuff and come back to it. So like right now we've been
Mhm.
talking, Najee Harris just got signed to the Chargers on a 1 year deal from Pittsburgh, and so it's like I don't have to say that live. I can come back to that and kind of have an opinion, because I have opinions on these things. But yeah, I don't know. It's a give and take, if you will.
I got you. I totally understand, man. We just want to jump on really quick, talk a little bit about free agency. Big day today. Lots of guys that got paid, got some money. I'm happy. I'm proud for them, their families. This and one thing I really like about free agency, or just the money that they're getting now, a lot more guaranteed money, which was a big problem in years prior with guys getting hurt or guys getting shelved and not being able to get their money. A lot more guaranteed money rolling around, not just for quarterbacks. J.C. Horn gets paid for Carolina. Like some good stuff is happening. You have I'm forgetting his name right now. So, Sweat. He goes to Arizona,
Mhm.
gets paid. Like those are very good things. So I will give you the last word to get us out of here, Mr. Sports Guy. Any last closing remarks about free agency?
Kind of my biggest thing, the underrated move of the day, if you will, that I kind of want to get off. So it's out there in the world. Carlton Davis to the Patriots, I think, shakes a lot of things up here. Because, first of all, Carlton Davis is a beast, at cornerback. He's your bruiser. He's going to just come in and hit you in the mouth, but then also be able to check a guy like DK on the outside if there's any kind of bigger receivers. He signs with the Patriots. They have Christian Gonzalez, who was on a trajectory of all pro really early on, and is going to continue on that. Everybody had Travis Hunter going to the Patriots in the first round at pick number 3. Do they still take Travis Hunter, or do they take him with the intentions of him being a wide receiver instead? I think this gives us because there's no way they're drafting him as a cornerback, because they don't need 3 guys like that with so many other needs on the team. So we could either see that, a trade back, maybe a Will Campbell from LSU, the top O-line prospects. That's consensus. Who knows if he is going to be? I've seen some Kelvin Banks as well that could jump up from Texas. So all I'm saying is look out for the Patriots, because under Mike Vrabel, under this new system, they've already made that move that it's sneaky good. It's just a sneaky good move. So I'm excited if I'm a Patriots fan, even though I just talked about the most heartbreaking loss as a Seahawks fan came from a Patriots fan on the last episode. So yeah, that's my underwhelming take of the day. If it doesn't happen, hopefully nobody heard that and we'll just move on with our day.
We'll put it out in the universe and see what happens. Once
Exactly.
again, I'm Drew Davis, joined by Griffin Prock. Check him out, Show About Sports, does some great things in the universe. And that's just us talking about free agency. We'll catch y'all soon.